Hello, beautiful souls. So today we are on to lesson 102. Yesterday we got to realize and experience that God wills perfect happiness for us. And today we get to celebrate in the idea that I share God's will for happiness for me. I share God's will for happiness for me. So let's see what is in store for today's lesson. You do not want to suffer. You may think it buys you something, and may still believe a little that it buys you what you want. Yet this belief is surely shaken now, at least enough to let you question it, and to suspect it really makes no sense. It has not gone as yet, but lacks the roots that once secured it tightly to the dark and hidden secret places of your mind. So I think this first opening paragraph is key, because we are getting to witness that our mind makes us think that we want to suffer and that the suffering gets us something, and we are learning that it doesn't get us anything, and we want to have it undone and have it replaced for happiness instead. But we must recognize that we do not want suffering, that we do not want to suffer, and let it be corrected in our mind. That is where happiness will be found. Today we will try to loose its weakened hold still further, and to realize that pain is purposeless, without a cause, and with no power to accomplish anything. It cannot purchase anything at all. It offers nothing and does not exist. And everything you think it offers you is lacking in existence like itself. You have been slave to nothing. Be you free today to join the happy will of God. This is reminding me of even a part in the Course where it says all we need to say is, I have no more use for this. This is useless to me. And declaring that this suffering is useless to us, that I don't want this anymore, is where the true power of God's will fills our mind with peace and reminds us that He wills happiness for us. So I think today it's crucial to let us recognize that we want to loosen our hold on our idea of suffering and pain, because we no longer want suffering and pain anymore. We used to think we did, but we realize we no longer want that. So for several days, we will continue to devote our long practice periods to exercises planned to help you reach the happiness God's will has placed in you. Here is your home, and here your safety is. Here is your peace, and here there is no fear. Here is salvation. Here is rest at last. Begin the longer practice period with this acceptance of God's will for you. I share God's will for happiness for me, and I accept it as my function now. I share God's will for happiness for me, and I accept it as my function now. Then seek this function deep within your mind, for it is there, awaiting but your choice. You cannot fail to find it when you learn it is your choice that you share God's will. Our first choice was to experience what it was like to not be what we are, and with that comes suffering, pain, and fear. Today we are reminded that we could choose once again, and in our choice for happiness, for the function that we share with God, it is so. But we must choose that today. So be happy, for your only function here is happiness. You have no need to be less loving to God's Son than He whose love created Him as loving as Himself. Besides these hourly 5-minute rests, Pause frequently today to tell yourself that you have now accepted happiness as your one function. And be sure that you are joining with God's will in doing this. So it's beautiful. Anytime we are not happy, we know we have a correction to make in our mind. So we allow ourselves to put our focus on the correction. And then happiness appears in its place. Because God wills perfect happiness for us. And I'm even being reminded of being like a young child when you feel sick and you feel like you're suffering. And then your mother and your father take care of you and love you and give you everything that you need. The food, the warm bed, you get to stay home from school. It is so easy for the mind to equate suffering with what you want. It is so easy to equate suffering with love. And so what we're realizing is that suffering and love do not coexist. That love is a whole complete reality that inspires happiness and perfect happiness. So today we are allowing our false conclusions that we accepted in the past to fall away, so we can accept what we really want is God's will for us, the function that we share with Him, which is happiness. So I share God's will for happiness for me. I share God's will for happiness for me. And so it is. I love you, beautiful souls. Have a wonderful day. Bye.